What is up, team? Today we're going to do some factoring of quadratics. Learning target down here says I can factor a quadratic with a leading coefficient of 1, just 1. So first thing, I got a little bit of review for us. We're going to practice multiplying two binomials together. First method we learned was foiling. Remember, FOIL is first, outer, inner, last. So to FOIL, we're going to do the first terms first. X times x is x squared. The outer terms. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. 3 times x is 3x. And the last one, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Combining like terms here, we learned that the product here is x squared minus 2x, because these two are alike, minus 15. Boom. Done. The second method, the way that we learned how to do this is by using the box method. So we're going to do that one now. I already have my box drawn. I'm going to do my first binomial across the top, x plus 3, and then an x minus 5 down the left-hand side. Remember, this entire row belongs to this x, and wherever it meets its partner there, they're going to multiply. So x times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Notice how these four terms are the same four terms that we have here, the negative 5x and the 3x, as well as the x squared and the negative 15. Now we just combine like terms in the same way, and we learn that this equals x squared minus 2x minus 15. We get the same result both ways. So what we're going to be doing today is the opposite of this. We are going to be starting with a quadratic that looks like this stuff in boxes, and our end result is going to look like what we started with here. It's going to be two separate binomials. It's going to be x plus or minus something in parentheses times x plus or minus something else in parentheses. And the key thing here, before we even start diving into it, something I want you to notice, something I want you to recognize and kind of keep in the back of your mind, is notice how when we started, which again, today, this is where we're ending. This is kind of our finish line. Notice that there's a positive 3 and a negative 5. And also notice when we're at this intermediate step that we have a negative 5 and a positive 3 in the same exact way. That's no coincidence. That's going to happen every single time. So we're going to keep that in mind as we're solving these. Additionally, of course, the negative 2x comes from these two terms. We combine these two to get to that point. So we're going to use that fact because it's super important. Additionally, notice that this 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Because again, when we multiply the last terms together, that's where the negative 15 comes from. So we're going to kind of keep those ideas in our back pocket. They're going to help us as we approach a problem like this. So this is the same exact quadratic. Notice this is the solution from a minute ago, but we're going to take it from here and we're going to go in the opposite direction. And we'll do it in two different ways that really mirror what's over there. The first way is, I call it unfoiling. It's not really a fair phrase because we're not going to do the FOIL process, but we're going to go from something that looks like this to something that looks like this. And there's a little bit of this process that it feels like a game of guess and check. I can't say like, hey, follow step 1, follow step 2, follow step 3, boom, you're done. This does take some thinking on your own part. Even after watching a video, even after doing a bunch of examples, it takes some thinking. Every single one is its own unique little challenge, its own unique little puzzle, and you're going to have to become comfortable with that if you're going to become successful at factoring these. Some of them go super quickly. Some of them you just kind of sit and wrestle with for a while until you finally see the pieces come together, and myself included. I was doing some earlier today, and I struggled through some. So I think they're fun, and they're challenging enough where it takes a minute, but they're simple enough where you'll be able to get them. Okay, so factor x squared minus 2x minus 15. So what we have here is a quadratic because the highest power here is 2. So any polynomial with the highest power is 2, we call it quadratic. Also notice that the coefficient, the leading coefficient here is 1. And that's all that we're going to be working with. Sometimes later on you're going to see leading coefficients of something that's not 1. We won't be discussing those in our course. All of our leading coefficients are going to be 1. Now, there's not a whole lot of work to show for this first method. But I'll explain what's going on with my words here. I'll do my best to. So we know that when we factor this, it's going to be x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something. And it's our task to figure out what the somethings are. This is where we start to kind of guess and check a little bit. We need to find two numbers that add up to this negative 2x, and we need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 15. So, well, I mean, we know what they are because we see our solutions over there. But if we're kind of racking our brains, I would start with the 15. Start thinking of multiples of 15. Think, well, 1 times negative 15, well, that doesn't add up to negative 2. 3 times negative 5, well, that's the one that it is. It ends up being 3 and negative 5 because 3 minus 5 is negative 2, but 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. So that's kind of a trick. That's the one that we kind of keep in our back pocket. Again, if we wanted to confirm, if you're like, wait, why does that work? Just FOIL it. And I'm not going to do that because we already did it. That's the same thing that's over there. If you were to do something like, if you were to make a guess and say like, well, I know that 1 times negative 15 equals negative 15. Well, that's true. That satisfies that part of the puzzle here, but it doesn't add up to negative 2. So when you FOIL this, we'll even do it real quick. You get x squared minus 15x plus 1x minus 15. So this is x squared minus 14x minus 15. That's kind of close. The first term is correct, the second term is correct, but this needs to be negative 2x, and it is not. It is negative 14x. So we have to satisfy both of those conditions. Your two numbers need to multiply to that middle number, add to that middle number, just the coefficient, and multiply to the final number there. Okay, let's say you want to explore using the box method a bit. We can do that too. So instead of working from the outside in, you're going to work from the inside out. We can fill in part of our box. We know that the x squared goes here. We know that the negative 15 goes here. And then the real key to this puzzle here is we need to figure out what goes in these two boxes. Once we do that, we're going to find the stuff on the outside. Well, it's going to be the same kind of process here. Well, let's do the easy part first. We know that x times x equals x squared. Okay, that works. Now, we need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 15. One's going to go here, one's going to go there. But we know that we're going to have to combine these two terms, and they're going to have to equal negative 2x. So, again, it's the same kind of guessing until we find the pieces that all fit together. I'm going to pick one that's incorrect on purpose here, just for sake of example. What if I did 5 and negative 3? Well, if we did that, this would end up being negative 3x, and this would be 5x. That seems to work so far, but when we combine these two terms, they do not equal what we started with here, because 5x minus 3x is positive 2x, so that's a no-go. So that one doesn't work. It is going to end up being x plus 3 and x minus 5, though, because negative 5 plus 3 is the negative 2x. So we'd say our factored form here is x minus 5 times x plus 3. Boom. And that matches all the stuff that we've done so far. Okay, next I'm going to do a handful of examples. I'm going to zoom through them. Stick with me. Okay, here are 3 examples. This first one here, x squared minus 5x minus 14. The first thing I would do is I would do a little bit of work on the side. I would take my negative 14, and again, I'm doing some work on the side. I'm going to list all of the factored pairs of negative 14. So, for example, that'd be 1 and negative 14. That'd be 2 and negative 7. 3 doesn't go, 4 doesn't go, 5 doesn't go, 6, 7 does. 7 times negative 2, and then it's going to be 14 and negative 1. These are all of the factored pairs of negative 14, because when you multiply these two numbers together, you get 14. The same is true with all 4 of these. Now, we need to pick the one pair of factored pairs that adds up to negative 5. So 1 minus 14, that doesn't add to negative 5. 2 minus 7, that does add to negative 5. That's going to be the one we go with. 7 minus 2, that's positive 5. It's kind of the same, but that's not negative. 14 minus 1, That's not negative 5. So this is the one we're going to go with. The factored form of this is x plus 2 times x minus 7. Again, you can check that all day long by foiling. First is x squared, outer, negative 7x, inner, plus 2x, and last is minus 14. Combine these like terms, x squared minus 5x minus 14, and we get back to where we started. So I'd make a list of factored pairs on the side, pick the ones that add up to your middle term. We call it the B term. Okay, this next one, let's do it again. We have 100, that is our, let me kind of separate this a little bit. That's the term that we're trying to factor. So we have 1 times 100. Well, that doesn't equal negative 20. How about 2 and 50? 4 and 25. So far, no good. 5 and 20. I don't think 6 goes. How about 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10? Those go. Yikes. So I think I've run out of factors now. But remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. So we can make this list again with all negatives. Negative 1 times negative 100, negative 2 times negative 50, negative 4 times negative 25, negative 5 times negative 20, negative 10, and negative 10. All of these pairs, if you multiply them together, equal positive 100. We now need to pick one of them that when you add those two numbers together, they equal this negative 20. So let's go through this. Those together is 101, that's 52, that's 29, that's 25, that's 20, negative 102, negative 25, negative 29, negative 25, negative 20. Oh, hello. This very last one, negative 20. So our factored pair here is going to be x minus 10 times x minus 10. Done. Again, you can FOIL it and you get back to where you started. Last one. This one's going to be really, really similar. It's actually the same exact problem with just less zeros in it. So we're going to factor 1 this time. I like to do it on the side if there's an opportunity. That one felt weird. So what times what is 1? Well, of course, 1 times 1, but also negative 1 times negative 1. Those are the only factored pairs that I'm aware of. Negative 1 plus a minus 1 is negative 2. So this one's just going to be x minus 1 times x minus 1. Of course, if you were to FOIL this, you get back to where you started. Okay, if you need to review foiling, check out the video for that. If you have any questions about this one, please let me know. Let's dive into our practice problems. I believe in you. You got this.